How long have you been rapping now?
At this point, like 20 some odd years, really,
How's
you
it
know.
going?
I mean, it goes well. I'm still rapping. I'm still out there, still making a living off rap, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And essentially now it's a lot of my rap style is quite quirky and user friendly, but then whenever something happens in the Jewish world, I sort of become more aggressive and stick up for Jews against hate. So, that has been a recent topic. But
Oh, okay.
you know,
I,
everything from marathon. I have a song about the marathon coming out, and then I have a song about anti-Semitism, or I had a song about Kanye, and I had a song about taxes. I had just almost a guy who explores topics.
nice. That's right. I noticed that most Jewish people, men especially, become doctors or lawyers and businessmen and dentists. And what made you decide to be a rapper instead of one of those businessmen?
Well, I mean, even in hip hop, you have a lot of business aspects to it that you're doing. I come from addiction, so I've been sober a long time. I was really infatuated with the lifestyle of drugs and business, and thinking I was somebody that I wasn't. I think a lot of people drift over into dental, doctor, lawyer, accountant, things of that nature because it sort of runs through families. So it's built in through a family system where people encourage other people to follow in the footsteps of your father or your uncle, etc. So
Oh,
this is essentially what I just kind of came into. And then my father was very adamant about me making it, business structure and putting it out there as such, from an early time.
was your father, is he a businessman or a doctor or something?
No, my father was an engineer, but he worked in like machinery shops when he immigrated to the U.S. But he just went to engineering school, so
Right.
so just he was very good with building things, etc.
And
So
so who were you closest to growing up, your father or your mother?
that's a good question. I'd say my relationship with my mother is a little bit different than my father. As the youngest, I know that my father was very much into strictness, and my mother is more of a loving person. She's more emotional. My father was more emotionless. So my
Nice.
father was sort of like get the job done. Sort of comes from a family that's more of an action than an emotional, and it's very common in immigrant families. I feel like a lot of immigrant parents, because they came from nothing, versus maybe a family that was born in America. It's
And
just
now that
different.
now that you're older, do you appreciate your father's uh, personality or your mother's personality?
I think there's a good balance in both, and it's a good question because when you become older, you really are interested in why you are the way you are. And as an artist, you have a lot of this emotions, but as a business person, it's like very clear cut. It's like yes, no, sorry, we're not gonna. Sorry, like sometimes you get these emails and you're like, sorry, we're passing, and then
Yeah.
the emotional part of you is like, I gotta, and I feel you probably got that from my from the mother, you know what I mean, which
Yeah.
which is fine, but you need to have a good balance of both.
Amazing. And so you're Jewish. Why do you, when you rap, you sound like a black person instead of rapping like a Jewish person?
I think you're talking about my accent. So I think what you're referring to is that the accent or the levels of somebody's voice could sound like that of a particular race. But if you're angry, and then let's say your history of rap is that of listening to maybe 90s rap, which is all, black people from New York, that's what I grew up on. So you made me sound like a Jewish person. I'm not going to sound similar to like somebody you met, like a guy named Edward Finkelstein, who's like I don't know, an accountant. You know what I mean? Maybe this is not, I might talk differently than the way it comes out through a microphone. But as I got older, I've noticed how my voice would change from like 2005 to 2015. to the topics that I'm rapping about, and how you emphasize that. So it is a good question. There's a question that used to come up long ago by people who wouldn't know much about rap, but usually, someone's vocal tone could have a huge difference. In fact, people think that the deeper your voice could be to mean you're not white, or of a specific caste.
Right.
So
Yeah, I saw you on Wild and Out, and when you were rapping up against a white guy, you were doing like, even though you had your hat on, you were acting like a black, rocking
yeah,
over.
I got I sometimes wear the double.
Oh,
Um, yeah, but I love hats. When you go bald, people just get good hats, and plus this is my hat, so I
that's
wanted to wear
right.
it. So it has a pickle on it because it's a Kosha Dillz, if you were wondering.
Right.
Yeah, so take advantage of the food product. No, and funny enough though, Sharon, he sounds extremely white. He's Canadian, but like I said, when I get angry or when I get more aggressive in a
Right.
battle, my voice, like, see, you talking to you now, it's a little bit lighter,
Right.
but when you rap, if you hear Rick Ross sort of speak at a certain, like speaking from your gut, so your voice could sound deeper. But anyone could necessarily do that. But I don't think it sounds black or white. I just think I'm rapping from my gut.
Can you give me an example of what a Jewish rap would sound like? If you weren't
Uh,
doing it black, you're just totally Jewish with it. Can you give me a small example of what that sound like?
of something that would sound like Jewish,
Yeah.
like a Jewish. So I have a song called Schmoozin'. So Schmoozin' is like a Yiddish word, like me and you were talking back and forth. We're schmoozin'. So the line of the song is like schmoozin' for bringing the party, who's in for bringing the party. So for bringing is like a get together, right? For
Oh,
bringing the party, Jewish, the models and bubby, bottles of bubbly. I know you love me. But when I perform it, see, that was speaking in a light term. So even when you record it, it sounds different.
oh,
But
okay.
you could say more aggressive, like, yeah, Jesse Lee Peterson, yo, schmooze in for. So I speak it more, but that's
Oh,
not necessarily me trying to act a different race. It's just me almost matching my vocal, because if you sing from your neck, then it's going to be higher pitch and you're straining yourself. But
right.
you could sound deeper and also control your breath by coming from your gut. And this is
Do,
also for anyone speaking. It's good to know.
that makes sense. Do Jewish people like rap music?
To quote the great Mac Miller, Jewish kids love hip hop music.
Oh,
They love hip hop music. I think it speaks to them soulfully. Um, Jewish kids really appreciate black culture. That's something that I realize, and I think the entire world does. I mean, if you look at it, hip hop's the most popular thing that has been taken in every level that it can, through media, through marketing, through just music, radio. Hip hop is basically pop music now. So
I,
kids really just love, like, from the young age of bar mitzvahs to now, kids listen to hip hop, and especially with TikTok and
I,
Instagram.
I used to wonder why that is. And then I realized that everybody is so traumatized now and emotional. And so when they hear that rap music, and because the blacks are so emotional and angry, they sing from emotion, really that traumatized, hurt emotion. And so since most people are emotional now, it kind of reached the dark side of your soul.
I think people listen to a song if the song resonates with somebody.
Right?
Incidents like Tupac had the song Dear Mama, and
I
he
know.
sings about his. So that's a song that no one could have written except him, but it speaks to everyone who's ever lost somebody. So, everyone's going to listen to Dear Mama at one point in their life, and they're going to sing Tupac, whether they listen to that
And
kind of
that
music or not. And that's the kind of beauty of making a song that resonates with people.
and that's because all people hate their mothers until they forgive her. And as long as they don't overcome their mama, they're going to be able to relate to Tupac's song. But once they overcome their mothers and return to their fathers, then they will understand why Tupac is singing about mama like that, but they won't be able to relate to it inwardly because they have forgiven their mothers.
I never really had maybe I'm going through that trauma like recovery now, but my parents are still alive, so I don't know the experience of it. But I do think that at least when I listen to hip hop culture as like a whole, what I realize is that people are loving their parents, like super respectful. Everyone, like a big theme in hip hop, at least I see, is like I want to buy my mother a house. They want to, the mother is the queen. It's like yeah, it's like I want to buy my mom a house.
You know
It's like,
why? Because they hate her and they feel guilty. And they try to replace the guilt by doing things like that,
oh, they
appeasing
feel
their
guilty,
mama.
so they
They try to appease her to get along with her. So that's why they want to buy her a house. And that's why they call her queen. When you hate someone, you try to satisfy them to keep them happy in order to make yourself feel better. It's not that they love mama, they hate mama. That's why they try to please her.
so is that called codependency?
That's called hate.